16 years after my mother's affair, my dad still refuses to date. My father has always been my superhero. He worked full-time and still managed to put me on the bus every morning. He raised my sister and I entirely on his own. He put me through school, helped me get my first car. He was there for every birthday, graduation. Any difficult time I was going through, he'd drop everything and drive hours to make sure I was okay. I never had a close relationship with my mother, nor do I have many fond memories of her. She had severe insecurities about herself that she projected onto me at a very young age. She would purposely give me ugly haircuts because sometimes she felt I was prettier than her. She would force me to take photos of her for hours until she got the perfect one for her Facebook profile. She was a deeply insecure person and tended to seek out validation online. I was 9 years old when my parents separated. At the time, I was actually excited because my friend's parents were divorced and I thought it was so cool he had 2 Christmases. I didn't understand what was happening and also didn't remember anything about my mother's infidelity until I was a teenager. I was around 15 when everything started to come back after a traumatic experience I went through. I vividly began to remember the first time I, as a 7-year-old, walked in on my mother doing it with a man she cheated on my dad with, who she is still with to this day. He, I'm going to call him Greg, was a guy she went to high school with. They reconnected through Facebook, and unbeknownst to my dad, she began a secret relationship with him. As a kid, I'd always get frustrated because I'd want to play computer games, but my mom was always on Facebook. And I now understand that was because she was communicating with this guy. There were also other men too, but Greg was the most serious. My mother decided she wanted to escalate and begin meeting with Greg in person. She would use the excuse that she was going to visit her father. Meanwhile, she was going to see Greg. The worst part about this is that she would bring my sister and I with her and force us to go to his place and play with his kids. They first met up again at an A&W, something my sister still blames herself for. As kids, our go-to fast food place was Wendy's, so it was particularly odd that this road trip she suggested A&W. I said no, and my sister said yes, so we went to A&W. To my mom's surprise, Greg was there. I now realize through years of therapy that this was all pre-planned and a way to make their meeting up and hanging at his house look more casual. My mom didn't consider the fact that this decision would make my sister blame herself for my parents' marriage falling apart, all because she said yes to going to A&W. When we went to his house for the first time, his daughter was quite mean to me as she was a bit older, and one time she had hit me while we were playing. So I went to go tell my mom and walked into the room and saw them doing it. I didn't understand what was happening and I immediately began to cry, as I thought he was attacking her. I ran to my sister to tell her, and my mom came running out and made us promise not to tell our dad. The scene is still burned into my mind. Months went by and the guilt grew. My mom started being less sneaky, and my dad actually walked past the computer one time and saw messages being exchanged between Greg and her. He immediately left the house in shambles, and my mom chased after him. They talked, and she said my dad didn't love her enough. My dad promised to do better, and my mom promised she would stop talking to Greg. She didn't. Eventually, when I was 8, my dad accepted that he had lost her completely and they started planning their separation. He reminded my mom that she would be responsible for keeping in contact with us, my sister and me, not the other way around. He wanted to make it as easy on my sister and me as possible. My mom said she understood. When I was 9, my mom packed her things and moved across the country. She tried keeping connections with us through Skype, but the calls got fewer and fewer. She eventually abandoned us completely. My father has never seen a single dime from her and has raised us completely alone financially. This caused issues when my dad tried to finalize the divorce, but my dad reassured us that he didn't need her money. He was always so selfless and kind. He never spoke a single bad thing about my mother. My mother began posting on Facebook saying she can't understand why my dad didn't chase after her, and that's what she wanted. She didn't want it to come to this. My mom is literally insane. To this day, she still talks badly about my dad. I am now 23 and I still hold guilt over keeping my mom's affair from my dad. My dad has never tried dating again. He shut out his entire circle of friends and became very isolated. The only people, he says, that matter in his life are my sister and me. My dad never sought out therapy, despite my sister and me constantly encouraging it. He is now 65, and it's unbearable seeing him be alone. His trust was completely shattered, and it completely changed him as a person. I wonder if, because he had to raise both my sister and me, he felt he had no time to focus on himself and his own well-being. I want my dad to be happy, and I can tell that he still struggles with these issues greatly every day. I still feel like if I had told him what happened earlier, maybe things would be better. Maybe he would have been able to move on and find someone who loved him genuinely, or maybe he wouldn't have become so isolated. I still want him to go to therapy, but nothing I say to him changes his mind, though I feel he would greatly benefit from it. I want him to be able to date again or even just go out with friends again, but I don't know how to encourage him to do this. Recently, my mom has tried to reconnect with me, but I want absolutely nothing to do with her. She said she was sorry for ruining our lives, and her words felt empty and crass. I don't know how to respond to my mom or if I should even respond at all. I don't know if I'll ever be able to have a relationship with my mother again after what she did to my dad. Now for the top comments. Holy smokes, this was an intense read. I cannot imagine the hell you and your family faced. My suggestion is, if possible, are there any clubs nearby your father is interested in you can perhaps have him enroll in? For example, maybe a fishing, hiking, etc. club he can begin to meet people at? Maybe even you and your sister can attend it with him a few times to try it out so he can steadily begin to expand his circle in case he rejects therapy for now. Good luck, Opie. I highly recommend going out together with him, either just you or you and your sister. That way, it comes off more as a subtle push to get him to start living his life again. Since he only really cares about you too, making it a family experience would be more likely to gain his willingness. As for your mom, I've got nothing. Personally, I don't think I could have a relationship with her in your situation. This is what cheating does. It destroys people. I would just let her go. She's not a good person. Infidelity is a form of abuse. Let it be the wedge that it is. I wanted to mention something I forgot to bring up. In a message she recently sent me, she also said my sister and I are the only ones on her and Greg's will. His children were also cut off. She had a large hand in that happening, and they no longer associate with either of them. It feels like this also was super selfish of her and a way to basically force me to respond. I have not. I think she realized they both have no one around now they're getting older and need more care, and maybe thought this was a way to establish a connection with my sister and I again. Your mom's reconnecting may be that she realized she has no one to care for her in old age. She may need her daughter's help now. She realized that now that she reached the age where if something were to happen, she is alone. I would let her know you only have one parent, the one that didn't abandon the family. She can make it up by never contacting any of you again. This is honestly definitely it. After my mom left and abandoned us, she encouraged Greg to also cut off his kids. He did, and they also lost contact with him and now want nothing to do with either of them. I am still in contact with his two kids, and they told me everything that mom also did to them. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to forgive my mom and uncle for what they did to dad? When I, 23 female, was 9, my dad passed away in an accident. It was hard for me and my brothers, 25 male and 21 male, because all of us were very close to him. Mom was a stay-at-home mom, so suddenly she was without support, and things became really tough for us in the months that followed. After about a year, our uncle, dad's younger brother, contacted mom and began visiting us regularly. He took good care of us and helped out a lot. We all really liked him. Later, he asked mom out, and she said yes. It was strange to see her with him, but we were young and wanted her to be happy. Our uncle also promised to take care of us. Over time, I grew to see him as a stepdad and loved him like that. They got married 3 years after dad died, and now they have 2 kids together. My brothers and I really did love him and were happy for mom. We never felt like dad was replaced because both mom and uncle were very respectful about his place in our lives. A few months ago, my brother, 25 male, was clearing out the attic at our old house and found mom's diary. It turns out mom had been having an affair with uncle for years, and she admitted to seriously doubting whether if all or any of us were really Dad's children. It was disgusting to learn about all this so many years later. Dad had only recently found out about the affair, and a few weeks later, he was gone. I guess now I know why he suddenly became an alcoholic and decided to drink and drive despite always telling us to think of family before taking risks. My brother confronted Mom and everything sort of blew up. Uncle tried to intervene, but my brother almost attacked him. It was unbelievable, really. We had been a happy, almost normal family for years since Dad passed, and now it's completely wrecked. Both my brothers have completely cut off Mom, and any mention of them not being Dad's children results in them hurling all sorts of insults at her. My half-siblings have become withdrawn and don't really talk to Mom either. Most of our extended family is shunning her and our uncle. He keeps saying he just loved Mom and nothing else. He even tried saying he loved us whether we were his kids or not, but it only makes me feel more disgusted. Mom recently called me, begging me to talk to my brothers and asking that we try to get back together as a family. She said she wouldn't throw away the family at home we'd built over the years. She claims she mourned Dad for years and was respectful of him for years before getting together with Uncle, which I called BS on. I told her I didn't want to see her and that there is no way any of us can forgive her for what she did to Dad. Mom said I was being needlessly cruel and that it was vile to throw her out of our lives after she cared for us all these years. My boyfriend agrees with her. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Damn, this is rough. Mom is blaming you guys for breaking up a family, but that family was based on lies, and she lied to you over years that never came clear. Your dad turning to alcohol and pass away in a car crash for drunk driving, and then you finding out that his alcohol use started when he found out about his wife cheating on him with his brother, makes everything so much worse. They literally drove him into alcohol use that led to his untimely death, robbing you of your father. This is so awful, and both don't even own up to their mistakes. I only did it for love. Nope, he did it for himself. Next thing you know, but we are a family. So was your dad, and see what they did to him. Damn, I don't even have words. They both were selfish. Your uncle did his brother wrong. Your mom did her husband wrong, which directly led to his death. Don't want to hear about family and how they should stick together. Everything was in the past. Don't hold a grudge. They are together now. They got what they wanted, your father out of the way. Now they have to live with the consequences of their decision. There is a special place in hell for people like this. Block them and move on. Timeline. If it is possible that your eldest brother could be the uncles, then the affair was going on for at least 12 years prior to your father's death. 12 years. 3 possible pregnancies. How long were they even married before the affair started? You should all get your DNA tested, so at least you know who your bio father is. If they could lie to all of you for all those years and instead of your mother divorcing your father, slowly caused his death, then that is not love. Not for anyone. What was your mother getting from your father? If she loved the brother, she should have gotten a divorce and married him. The brother should have spoken to your father rather than watching him off himself. Last story. After my dad's passing, my mom started seeing a younger guy from his soccer team. I'm torn between anger and heartbreak. I'm 28 male from a small town in northern Sweden, the kind of place where everyone knows each other, and most families have lived here for generations. My dad was a bit of a local legend, well-liked, respected, and someone people could rely on. For over 30 years, he volunteered as the equipment manager for our local amateur soccer team, without pay, purely out of love for the game and the team. Back in the day, he even played on a team himself. You could count the games he missed on one hand. My mom, 52 female, works as a journalist for a local newspaper and covers everything from politics to sports. She would sometimes come to the games, especially if she was writing an article, but she never had the same passion for it that my dad did. 6 months ago, the team got a new player, a guy 25 male from Somalia. Our sports manager met him during a trip to Africa and recruited him. He wasn't a professional, but he was one of the best players the team had in a while. My dad liked him a lot, and after wins, he would take the whole team to McDonald's, treating all the players like they were his kids, including this new guy. Then, about 4 months ago, everything changed. My dad passed away suddenly. Losing him was a shock for my mom and me, and the whole town mourned him. So many people showed up at his funeral, it felt like the entire town was there. Even the soccer team held a moment of silence and dedicated a tribute to him at the next game. It was a beautiful send-off and felt like the right farewell. After he was gone, my mom started attending the games more often, finding some kind of comfort there. She also started working on a project about the team's history, interviewing several players, including the Somali guy. Eventually, I started to notice things. I'd often see this guy around my mom's neighborhood. Sometimes, I'd see him leaving the area or jogging nearby. At first, I didn't think much of it, but over time, it started to bother me. He was around way too often. A few weeks ago, during fall break, I went with my wife and kids to visit her family in southern Sweden. A few days later, I got a call from my best friend. He sounded hesitant and almost uncomfortable, which made me worried. Then he told me something that completely shocked me. Apparently, he had seen this guy from the soccer team leaving my mom's house. I was stunned and couldn't believe what I was hearing. I refused to believe it. When I got back home after the break, I was still just as confused and worried. A few nights later, I was on my way to visit my mom, but when I arrived and saw the house in the dark, I had a sudden impulse to stay out of sight. I crept around to the back, carefully made my way through the garden and moved toward the windows at the back of the house. When I looked through the living room window, I saw something that made my heart stop. My mom was sitting on a couch, snuggled up with that guy from the team. They were leaning into each other, and it was clear they were cozying up together. The sight froze me in place, and everything inside me just twisted. The shock and betrayal. I don't even know how I got home. I've cried more in the past week than I thought was possible. I can't wrap my head around it. This is the same guy my dad had welcomed into the team and treated like a son. Imagining him in my dad's house with my mom feels like a violation of everything my dad built, everything he loved. I feel sick, like my dad's memory has been tarnished and disrespected, and he's probably turning in his grave. I haven't spoken to my mom since then. I feel like she's disrespected my dad's memory, and so did a guy. I'm devastated. Do you feel this way because of the timing? How much time has passed since your father died and this discovery? Is it also because of the age difference? Honestly, it's everything, from the timing to the very inappropriate age gap. This also feels deeply disrespectful to my dad's memory. He was a huge fan of this team, something that was really special to him and to us as a family. To see someone step into this role in his absence, especially with such a big emotional connection to my dad, feels like a betrayal on so many levels. I'm just shocked that this is happening so soon, and that she's with this guy in specific. Am I the a-hole for leaving a family dinner after my dad's toast? About a year and a half ago, I had a miscarriage. It was one of the most painful things I've ever gone through, and it broke me in ways I didn't see coming. I've been trying to heal ever since. I don't bring it up constantly or make it the focus of conversations, but my close family knows how deeply it affected me. They saw me struggle. They know I lost something that meant the world to me. Last night, we had a big family dinner. It wasn't just my immediate family, extended relatives, some family friends, just a casual get-together to celebrate my sister's pregnancy. It was meant to be a happy evening, and I was genuinely trying to be there and show my support. Then came the toast. My dad stood up, raised his glass, and said, "Here's to a smooth pregnancy, and finally getting a grandchild we can hold." Everyone around the table laughed, clapped, and cheered. My sister smiled wide, but I just sat there, completely stunned. I felt my stomach drop and my heart sink. It was like someone had knocked the wind out of me. I didn't want to cry in front of everyone or make a big deal, so I quietly stood up and said I needed to use the restroom. But instead of going to the bathroom, I walked out of the house, got in my car, and drove home. I just couldn't stay. I couldn't sit there and pretend that comment didn't hurt. Since then, the messages haven't stopped. People are saying I made things weird, that I overreacted, that I should have just let it go and kept the peace for one night. My mom even told me I was making it about me, again. And now I can't stop thinking about it. I keep replaying the moment over and over in my head. Was it really that bad? Was I being too sensitive? Did I take it the wrong way? Maybe it really was just a harmless comment and I made it into something bigger than it was. I honestly didn't mean to take away from my sister's moment. I didn't want the focus to be on me. I couldn't sit there and act like I was okay when I wasn't. But maybe I should have kept quiet. Maybe I really did ruin the evening. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Finally a grandchild we can hold? Dude. Yeah, that was just straight up cruel. And you know the worst part? Everyone laughed. I was too stunned to react. That hurt, not gonna lie. Not the a-hole. Your father's a moron. Your dad made it awkward. Who says something like that at a dinner with guests, no less? It's okay to be hurt when someone says something so emotionally thoughtless. You weren't upset about your sister's happiness. You were celebrating her. Your idiot father made it about you when he said that. Don't let others minimize your hurt. Their father didn't gut punch them in front of family. Tell your dad that even if he didn't mean it the way it came out, it was still an ignorant thing to say. I'm sorry for your loss. I hope your future is filled with happier memories. Thanks for the kind words. It really helps to hear someone else validate how I felt. I definitely wasn't upset about my sister's happiness, but that comment just hit me out of nowhere. I'll try to talk to my dad, but it's hard to know what to say without making things worse. Honey, there's no way you could say anything to make it worse. Your dad was actually making it about himself when he made that toast. He's the one who made things weird. Ask him to tell you why he felt it was okay to say that. He could have stopped at the first part of the toast and left things at that. But he's an idiot. I'm sorry about that. They're giving you a hard time and doubling down because they feel bad about their own reactions. It's easier to blame someone else as being the problem instead of taking responsibility for their crappiness. Don't back down. You did nothing wrong. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my pregnant wife to just hire help and missing the birthday dinner she and the kids planned? I am 37 years old, have a high-paying job where I make around $750,000 a year. It's a demanding job that eats up a lot of my time and energy. I'm usually working long hours and often get home late. My wife, 31 female, is currently 7 months pregnant. And we already have 2 young kids. One is 6 and the other is 3, so there's already a lot going on at home. Lately, my wife has been telling me that she's really tired and overwhelmed. She's been handling pretty much everything at home by herself, taking care of the kids full-time, keeping the house in order and doing all the little things, like getting my clothes ready for work and staying on top of all the household responsibilities. On top of that, she's pregnant and still pushing through every day. She's told me more than once that she needs me to be around more. She's not asking for anything extravagant, she just wants me to be present. I suggested that since we can easily afford it, we could hire some help. Maybe a cleaner or even a part-time nanny to ease the load. I figured that would help her catch a break and reduce the stress she's feeling. But she didn't take it well. She told me that she doesn't want hired help. She just wants me to be there more, to be present with the family, help with the kids, spend more time at home. She said what she needs isn't more help from strangers, but more support from her partner. Then came my birthday last week. My wife and the kids planned a simple dinner at home to celebrate. The kids were really excited about it. They helped her bake a cake, made decorations, and had everything ready for when I got home. But work ran late, and I didn't make it back until after 10 p.m. By then, the kids had already gone to bed. The food was cold, and my wife just sat there, quiet and disappointed, and said that they waited for you. I felt awful. I could see how much effort they had put into it, especially the kids. But in my mind, I honestly thought it wouldn't be a big deal. We could just celebrate another day when I had more time. I'm working hard because I want to give them a good life, with financial stability and opportunities I never had growing up. I thought that providing for them was what mattered most. But now her sister and even my own mom have been telling me that I'm neglecting my family and that I need to start figuring things out before it gets worse. They think I'm missing what's really important. So, am I the a-hole for suggesting we just hire help and for missing the birthday dinner my wife and kids planned? Your payments are going to be child support if you keep up this attitude, OP. You're the a-hole. I've known plenty of people who think like this, and they're always so surprised when the family falls apart, and neither spouse or children want anything to do with them. It's like no one has ever watched movies from the early to mid-2000s. I feel like every other movie back then was about a dad who started out too obsessed with his job, and by the end of the movie learned that real happiness was in being present for his family. Read your own post again. Your wife does all the child care and household work. You are hardly home to even engage with your kids ever. Do you know their favorite color? Do you know what they like to wear? Do you know their favorite foods? Do you know their favorite activities? Do you ever help at home? Do you know what bedtime stories they love? Do you know how to comfort them if they have a nightmare? If you can't answer these questions, then consider if you are being a father. Emphasis on that, because if you know nothing about your own kids, what are you even doing? Or a partner to your wife, because you just aren't there or present to help or engage with their everyday life. You're gone. You're an absent father. Yeah, I know my kids. I do spend time with them. I'm not busy all the time, but there are times when I'm going to be busy. I feel like it was an unrealistic expectation to expect a parent to be around 24/7. Yeah, you're the a-hole. Your kids won't remember the money you brought home. They will remember you never being there. I'm simply gobsmacked that OP talked about the sweet gesture and excitement of his kids wanting to make him feel special on his birthday and blew it off because they could do something another time. He couldn't even be bothered to be present for one damn day. It makes me wonder if there is someone at work who is more important to him than his wife and kids. What a completely selfish person. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling a pregnant woman I'd call the cops on her? I, 18 female, am currently living alone, as my mother, 45 female, and brother, 25 male, both left for work for a few months. The driveway to my house is now empty as my brother took the car, and I don't have a permit, so I don't own one. Over the course of 2 months, I counted 7 people just parking here. Not a word. They'd leave their car as if they own the place and leave for hours at a time. I have now installed a chain that blocks the entrance. They would have to take it off if they wanted to park here. Today a, shall I say regular, wanted to pull up but couldn't. She knocked on my door and demanded, not even asked, just straight up demanded, that I take it off, because she has no way of parking. She was pregnant, my guess somewhere 7th to 8th month. I told her I'm not going to do that because I am not comfortable with random people parking before my house, especially since I have to leave through that door to go to the backyard with my rescue dogs, who are afraid of strangers and will attack if they see one on our property. I explained that this is not a public parking space but my house's. She scoffed and said she's aware, but I haven't been using it either way, so what's the big deal? I got annoyed and told her I'm just not comfortable with it and can't even take my dogs out peacefully because of people like her. Mind you, there is a parking lot 5 minutes away on foot. I reminded her of that and she gave me the nastiest look and complained that she'd have to pay, and she's unable to because she's counting every euro to give her child a good life. I told her that's none of my problem and that she's welcome to ask my neighbors if any of them would be willing to let her park there for a few hours. But if she wouldn't leave me alone or if she took the chain off herself and parked here, I'd call the cops on her. She started crying, calling me heartless and an a-hole, saying I don't care about her baby's future and just want her to waste her money when she could just use my parking space. I admitted that I do not care because neither her car nor her child is my problem and went back inside. I may have been a bit harsh to her, especially given she's pregnant, but I feel like she had it coming. So, am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Time for some signs. No trespassing. Private property. Trespassers will be towed. I'll have to look into it. I'm not sure where I could buy signs in my city. Might need to order them online. Piece of wood and paint, and if your penmanship isn't good, print out a stencil, a paper with what you want written, and use an X-Acto knife to have and cut it out. Buying online may be easier and more professional-like. I think the handwritten ones are a bit more effective though, as they look like the owner is slightly unhinged, especially if you write it in red paint. Not the a-hole. Her laziness is not a reason to risk your property and insurance. Also, check your city/county/state rules about a property owner having a car towed at car owner's expense, so you'll know what to do if it happens again. You might need to call police, or you might be able to call a tow company. I'll look into it. I'm just not sure if I'll be able to do anything, considering the house is in my mom's name and she's away. If one of them, pregnant lady for instance, parks in your drive and you allow it, then falls or some other calamity befalls them, your mom could lose her house and you'd be out of a place to live. If it's the dog that bites them, it will be put down. Not worth it to be nice. Last story. Would I be the a-hole if I tell my niece the truth about why she can't go on vacation with me? Every 2 to 3 years since 2016, I, 39 female, have taken my sister, 42, and her kids, 14 and 17 females and 22 male, on vacation to Universal Studios, Florida. My nephew is on the spectrum and has a number of different issues, including ADHD, which he's on meds for. This is relevant later. Around the time that we started going on these family vacations, which I've paid for, my sister graduated with her BA in social work. Since graduating, her personality started to change and people, friends and fam, started noticing, but no one ever said anything. It was just weird. Over the last 2 years or so, she's made new friends around her age that she's grown very close to. During this same time, her behavior has gotten progressively worse, to the point where she thinks she's always right and won't listen to reason or logic. She also says that her new friends are more her family over her own siblings and mother. My sister is my father's golden child, so she can do no wrong in his eyes. I don't think her friends like me very much, but I couldn't care less about them. It's important to note here, per the timeline, that my nephew wanted to decrease his medication doses and was able to do so with his doctor's approval. He tried to throw them away, but I had suggested that he walk them down to the local pharmacy and dispose of them in their medication disposal bin. He asked me to do it, and without thinking, I agreed. I seriously thought nothing of it and didn't realize it would come back to bite me. Back to my sister. Things got really bad between us in March. She said she needed to talk to me, but wouldn't say about what, and I had no idea. She came to my house and accused me of stealing my nephew's meds. I laughed and told her she was crazy. Her logic was that I lost too much weight. I was almost 300 pounds, and I lost 90 pounds over the last 2 years with diet and exercise. Literally kept a food diary and recorded my workouts. I tried to reason with her and explain that the weight loss was happening over a period of time, way before my nephew started to decrease his dosages. But she wasn't having any of it and said she's not freaking retarded. She then started making demands, demanded that I hand the medication over and open a little tiny money safe that I have. She also started name-calling and proceeded to go through my personal belongings. She then asked me where my other safe was, and this confused me because I don't own another safe. I told her to leave or I was calling the cops, which I did a minute later. Cops told her to leave and I was left in disbelief. She is now trying to turn her kids against me. Her 17-year-old did believe the lies being spread, but claimed she came to her senses and her mom was wrong to do what she did. She will be 18 by the time we go in December, but I suspect my younger niece will not be allowed to go. My sister was very adamant that she doesn't want anyone, including the 14-year-old, to know what happened. I tried to text my sister to ask, but she said she needs to talk to me. I refuse to speak to anyone who believes I took my nephew's meds. I think I touched on the relevant points, but I'm happy to provide more info if necessary. Would I be the a-hole if I was honest with my niece when she asks why she can't go to Universal? Why was she freaking the heck out about the meds? Was she also taking them? Her reaction was way too over the top for this situation. My sister was very adamant that she doesn't want anyone, including the 14-year-old, to know what happened. Do you mean that your sister doesn't want anyone to know about her freakout, even though she was spreading lies about you? Something there doesn't make sense. I agree. Her reaction was way over the top. Yes, she texted me later that day, saying she didn't want anyone in the family knowing about what she did, especially her daughter. I did not respond. I don't know, man. Sounds like she was taking his meds. If she doesn't let her youngest go, I would talk to her privately first about the whole situation and come from a place of concern. I think you have a right and duty to yourself to tell your niece the truth and attempt to clear your name. Where was your nephew in all this? Did he speak up? He did. He tried to defend me, and she told him he was a freaking retard if he didn't see it. He's been really upset because he feels like he has to choose between his mother and myself. I assured him I wasn't mad at him, as I have no reason to be. I think his mother said something, but I can't prove it. Why would you take any of them anywhere? Stay away from her. You literally had to call the police on her, and now you're going to take her and her children on vacation? Step back, OP. She's not safe to be around. What if she accuses you of something worse? You don't need to waste your time and money on this. How can you trust her? Oh, no. My sister is never invited to go anywhere with me ever again. But I would still like to take my nieces and nephew.